We ready?
I believe so.
Okay, I think we're ready to start our regular commission meeting. We've been in a work session for a couple hours, but we're ready to move on. So I'll call the meeting to order. We have all three commissioners here present in the room, along with our administrator, Mac McDonald, our county attorney, wherever Mitch went, and we have James Duncan here to represent Lyman Duncan. We welcome everybody here, and our first order of business is to invite anyone in the audience or here at the table to give us an invocation, after which we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer to do the invocation?
Yes, I can.
You want to do it? Okay.
Our God, our Creator, our Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this day and with a grateful heart for the moisture that we have received in this part of the land to be able to sustain ourselves. We are grateful for all the blessings that Thou bestow upon us on a daily basis. At this time, Heavenly Father, we want to show gratitude for our staff and workers of the county. We pray that Thou will bless them with what they need of. We are grateful for their work and also ask that Thou will bless their families. We also ask that Thou will bless the members of our community in San Juan County from one end to the other end, that they may be able to be blessed with opportunities to better their lives, with opportunity to help their children. We ask that Thou will bless us as we make decisions that may affect the lives of our citizens. We pray that Thou will make us mindful of how we use the resources and taxes that are trusted to us. We pray that we make choices that would help not only at this time, but for future generations to come, that will bless the life of our children, where they can grow and find good jobs and progress in this part of the land. Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for the freedoms that we have, for the opportunity to have to live in this beautiful place, and we ask that Thou would soften the heart of those that may have different ideas of what we're trying to do, that they may be able to understand. And we bless those that come with good intention to help us and protect us from those that are not. And we say these things, asking again for Thy blessings, and we do this with a grateful heart. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. We all please rise and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll now go to our public comment portion of our meeting. So, Mr. McDonald, would you lay down the ground rules? And
Absolutely. We for public comment, we will limit public comment to 3 minutes apiece for anyone in the audience or here online that are wishing to make a public comment. I checked the sign-in sheet. There's nobody signed in here. the actual meeting wishing to make public comments in the physical location. Online, if you're wanting to make a public comment, you can raise your hand. If you raise your hand using the Zoom feature, if you right click on your name, there's a raise your hand feature. If not, I'm not seeing any. So it looks like I have one. Just as a reminder, in your public comments, this is not a time to deliberate with the commissioners, so don't expect them to answer questions. They may, if they choose to do so. We try to avoid a public hearing by having a deliberation with the public at that time. But also, please keep your comments kind and courteous as well. With that being said, we'll go ahead. I have Jeff has raised your hand. Jeff, or any other member on here, if you could please just state your name and where you're located within the county, we'd appreciate it for the record.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Well, good morning, commissioners. My name is Jeff Matson. I'm a resident of the Pack Creek community in northern San Juan County. I'm also the president of the board of directors of the Pack Creek Water Company. I'd like to comment on and support for your approval item 11 on today's agenda, the San Juan County Pack Creek Debris Basin. As you're well aware, the Pack Creek community suffered a devastating wildfire back in June of 2021. Since then, we have also suffered from numerous flash floods. Well, to be exact, we've had 25 events over the past 2 years, with one flood estimated to be about 1,500 CFS. Pack Creek normally runs at about 2, so it was a pretty good sized flood. These floods have destroyed community infrastructure. They've wiped out one of our 6-inch main culinary water lines across the creek. It's also destroyed a several thick-foot cement creek crossing that people that live on the north side of the creek use to access town and whatnot. The floods have also downcut the creek several feet in places, and this downcutting has put our sole culinary water source at risk. The water company serves all 43 lots that are out here in Pack Creek. I would like to thank the county for their work on stormwater management. The recently completed Spanish Valley Stormwater Master Plan that I saw that was before the Planning and Zoning Commission the last couple meetings. This item number 11, and the Pack Creek Fire Emergency Watershed Protection Project, which affects us up here in Pack Creek. Our EWP damage survey report was approved in August of 2021, and the NRCS Pack Creek grant funding was approved by the County Commission in December of 2021. The project's stated proposed actions are bank protection, grade stabilization, and debris and sediment control and removal, very similar to what is being proposed below us in Spanish Valley. We are anxiously awaiting the final engineering designs and hope to see our work begin as soon as possible. I'm hoping the Commission will consider giving our community time on a future agenda for us to explain the importance of our project. 3 minutes really isn't adequate. Also, I hope there will be equitable consideration given to the Pack Creek community's infrastructure and stormwater management needs, as everything that affects Spanish Valley comes through us first. The Pack Creek Water Company Board of Directors sent an email to the county commissioners, county administrator, and emergency manager last October detailing our concerns for the community and the risk to our water source. I will resend this email for your reference. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jeff. Next one on here, we have a Norma Rowe.
Norma, you'll have to unmute yourself.
All right. Sorry about that. Good morning, commissioners. This is Norma Roth. I too live in Pack Creek on Pack Creek Road. And I'd like to a little bit continue what Jeff had begun. If you look at the meeting packet and the agenda item for the FEMA Pack Creek Debris Basin, item 11, you'll see that Tammy is asking for county approval for the 25% match requirement, which was roughly $195,000. And this has never been done for our project, and it has been nearly 2 years. So I would like the commissioners to address this for us, please. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Norma. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? If so, go ahead and unmute yourself. I'm not seeing anyone else unmute themselves or hands raised. Commissioners, that's your public comment period for today.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is our consent agenda. And I think we have only four items on the consent agenda. Okay, Mac, do you want to review those quickly?
So yeah, we've got the approval of the March 21st, 2023 Commission Work Meeting Minutes, and then the March 21st, 2023 Commission Meeting Minutes. Also on here is the approval of the March 11th through April 12th check registers. It's a little bit long and lengthy, where it was a month long. You have the approval of the following small purchase orders. You've got $1,398.75 for a turbo. This is a vehicle part for the road department. You have $9,499 for a pressure washer for the landfill. $35,295.61 for chemicals for the weed department. Now that doesn't seem like a small purchase order. Actually, the items themselves are a bulk, and so that was a total amount. But the items themselves they meet the criteria for a small purchase item. And that's for this year's spray chemicals for the weed department. You have $9,629.54 for tobacco prevention education for the public health department. $2,800, this is both a award on a grant that allows us to purchase this through our emergency management. You've got $2,849 for a drone, and then we had on here $14,690 for a sandbag machine for emergency management. Tammy had just informed me prior to the meeting that there are no longer any sandbag machines available. Go figure. And with that, this one is no longer available and out of stock. So we're working with the state. Oh, sorry, my own timer went off. So we're working with the state to increase the amount of the award to allow us to purchase one that is available. However, obviously with supply lines, supply chains, it may be a minute to get that, but the intent is still there. We would love to purchase the sandbag machine, and they will grant us the funds to do so. And so
Very good.
that'll be passed through, but that's what your consent agenda item is.
We have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda today.
I make a motion to approve with the changes that
Okay.
Matt just informed us.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll make that second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. So we have 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We'll move on to number 5.
Recognitions, presentation, and informational items. You have an update and presentation from the Utah School Institutional Trust Lands Administration regarding the transfer of the Sitla parcels from the Bears Ears National Monument. I think we'll turn it over to Brian first, or all right,
Michelle?
Michelle, you're up.
If you'd rather, I'm happy to. Commissioners, thank you for giving us a few minutes today. I'm Michelle McConkey. I'm the director of the State School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. And we were here last spring in front of the commission a little earlier in the process to let you know about a large land exchange we were working with the federal government, changing out. There's a map. I don't know if you all have it in front of you. I assume you do. Good. It is those kind of hot pink little squares. We would be trading those out. A lot of them are within the boundaries of the Bears Ears National Monument. Some is without. There are some others in other parts of the state, but the bulk of them, this is just a San Juan County map. And we would be trading into those federal lands that are shown in the kind of bright green. And when we were here last year, we told you we would come back and give an update. So here we are. We did spend last summer, we had a couple of open houses in Monticello and Blanding. We've been able to talk to a lot of representatives and ranchers and a lot of different people, industry experts, and have gotten a lot of really good feedback. To let you know where we are in the process, the Memorandum of Understanding was signed about a month ago by Governor Cox and Secretary of the Interior, Holland. So that agreement has been signed, which authorizes both of us, the state and federal government, to keep moving forward. And where we are, we've been working very closely with our federal delegation, especially Senator Lee and Representative Curtis. And we have been working closely with their offices. What happens now is the MOU now needs to be introduced, federal legislation ratifying the MOU and helping us to move forward and implement this is, I don't know if imminent's the right word, but close. We're very close. We've been working with them for a while, and we feel like we're within hopefully a matter of weeks of introduction. How long exactly it takes to get that passed is it's federal legislation, but we think it's going to be one of those that has support from both sides of the aisle, because it really is a win-win in many ways. It protects some lands within a national monument that Trust Lands Administration has a difficult time making money off of for a variety of reasons. The scattered nature, the fact that it's surrounded by by federal land that has restrictive uses. Having a monument on top of that, making those uses even more restrictive, certainly hasn't helped. And so it's a way for us to get out of that, for them to manage all of those lands the same way. And it's an opportunity for us to trade into land that can really bring money to Utah schools, and those are our beneficiaries. In addition, the land that we have been able to block up throughout the state it's going to help all the communities. And we actually feel like there's a very good opportunity for San Juan County as well. We have about 53,000 acres, a little over 52,000 acres that will stay in San Juan County. That's about a third of the land that we're trading out of. We're trading out of a little over 162,000, and we'd be trading into about 163,000. So we should get a little bit actually of a net. But about a third of that is staying in San Juan County. That is actually the largest we have ever stayed in one county. This is going to be our 6th largest land exchange, and that's the most we've ever stayed in one county. And we have heard as we've gone through this process, as we've listened to frustrations and concerns about people down here. We understand those. The thing that we've heard, though, is that at one point there was much more of a thriving economy in San Juan County, and it's not as strong anymore. We do feel like this is really an opportunity to bring some economic development back to San Juan County. There's less acreage, but the acreage that's being traded into has a lot of mineral potential in Lisbon Valley. There's potash, there's lithium, uranium, oil and gas, copper, a lot of different minerals. We actually have had industry, once it starts getting known among industry that we are looking to block these lands up, we have had industry already approach us for some of this land. And it's because if they would rather work on trust lands, we don't have all of the federal regulations that they do when it's managed by BLM. So they want to work on trust lands. So we feel like there's a lot of potential there. We're also looking to block up some more land. We already have a fair amount in the Spanish Valley area, but we're looking to pick up more to help really solidify our ownership there for future development. We also have been working a lot with ranchers. We know that there's a lot of concerns with the ranchers who run trust lands, again, because we are easier to work with. A lot of times some of their improvements will be on those lands, the trust lands. And there have been a lot of concerns, and we understand that, and rightly so. And so we've been talking a lot with them. I'm not the expert as much on grazing. Would it be helpful? We have Chris. So you already know Brian Torgerson, of course. He's with our Monticello office. And Chris Fawcett is our managing director over Surface Management Group that deals directly with grazing. I'm happy to turn that over to him. Would that be helpful to have a few minutes? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, commissioners, for the opportunity. So yeah, my name is Chris Fawcett. I'm the managing director of our Surface Resources group at SITLA. And so yeah, when we came down, we did a couple of open houses. We've talked to the livestock operators quite a bit and understand their frustrations, their concerns. When you're talking face to face with somebody about their livelihood, it really hits home. And so we've really tried to work closely with them, with the Public Lands Policy Coordinating Office, the Department of Ag, to make sure that we're putting as many protections into the agreements that we do, the exchange agreements, as we can to protect those operations on the trust lands that will be traded out of in the land exchange. One of the strongest efforts has really been to solidify the water infrastructure that's so critical to those operators. I think you're aware that there's several, I can't remember, 30 or so water wells that they've been working to complete on those scattered truss land sections that are really critical to the livestock operations. And so we've been working to make sure that those get drilled before the land transfer happens. We also put some language into our agreement with the Department of Interior that if by some chance some of those wells don't get completed before the lands are exchanged, that they will be able to complete those, that's guaranteed. We've also got provisions in the agreement dealing with access and use of those range improvements, because I know that's been a struggle in other monuments, that you get the improvements in place and all of a sudden they come up with a reason that you can't access them anymore. And so we've written that into the language that would become federal law, that access to use those, to maintain them, to repair them, that's all protected into the future. Also, BLM will have to honor those grazing permits going forward after they're transferred and give a preference right to renew those to those ranchers. And also dealing with the access, BLM has agreed to provide access across BLM lands to get to those improvements. So those were some of the critical issues that were raised to us by the ranching community and also by the Department of Agriculture that we've worked to address. One final thing I'll address, I guess, is the water rights to those wells. We're continuing to work with the Department of Agriculture and with the operators on exploring how to protect those water rights into the future, so that we make sure that those stay available for grazing uses. We're still working out the details on that, but we're confident we'll be able to figure out a good solution there. So any questions?
So
We're
on your map,
uh-huh.
you've got a few sections that are kind of a dark blue.
Yeah.
Tell me the significance of those colors.
So the dark blue sections that you're pointing to, those are sections that SITLA only owns the mineral estate on. So the surface is either federal or private already. And so we're just trading out the mineral estate. So there's just a handful of those.
All right. And let's see. Would it be possible to get a copy of this map, a hard copy of this map, not just the whole state of Utah? Okay.
We've got them right here in Brian's hand. We have one.
He's like, I brought these paper maps. I don't know why.
Yeah, we've got one of the whole state and also one that's San Juan County focused.
The one that San Juan County helps us be able to pinpoint
Yep.
range and township, and then the sections within those range and township, which I think is a big interest to citizens. Okay, Sylvia.
The question I have is, once those 162,000 acreage is removed, do we have any left? Any for future generations?
As far as trust lands in San Juan County?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the map, I mean, all of the rest of those little blue squares, those stay that you can see. I don't know if you can kind of point to any of those,
Right here.
Mac.
Over here, all these blue.
And also, all of the bright green land will become state trust lands. So that will be SITLA land that's available that Michelle was talking about for economic development purposes. So you see we've blocked up a fair amount of land in the Lisbon Valley, Dry Valley areas, also down around Blanding for future growth of that community. We've got some land down there too that we've tried to block
Okay,
up
so
that will become state trust lands.
And then another concern, well, I heard from somebody from King County that Escalante, the monument, is going to zero grazing. They're trying to go to zero grazing. And they're talking how that will affect Garfield and King County and other people, they're ranchers. In my previous life, I have been under an agreement by two institutions where they said this will happen, and given 10 years, and it's a different story.
Mhm.
So my concern, I like to eat beef. I grew up in a beef country, and I love counties and the country. So I just want to make sure that ranchers are truly protected. I mean, when I hear that zero grazing, that's lots of good people being affected. If it's true, if that's going to happen in Escalante, so you give that happening there, then it can happen here. So my concern is, it's an honest concern, because the ranchers, to me, are one of my favorite people. They're good, hardworking people. I don't think I see any people that work as hard as families, and they depend on that, and so that is my concern about that those things are done right and permanent. That somebody later on come with different ideas, say, well, I think we shouldn't be eating beef, and so we'll use this opportunity to put zero grazing there. And so that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And I have another question. Are these going to happen before the lawsuits and things are going on is resolved with? I know the state of Utah has a lawsuit, and so is that going to happen before that's resolved? I don't know. I just have those questions.
Yeah. So
And I I understand your mission. I know that we'll be working with other projects. I'm not trying to be a naysayer or make it hard. I just one of those, because I had to answer those questions when I go around. People ask me those, and I don't want to go, no, no.
no, absolutely. Those are valid questions.
And so I just want to make sure that those ranchers and their children, grandchildren, I mean, there are, how many generations they have been doing this, that they can still continue to do that and be part of our economy, part of what they contribute to our county, and that someday somebody else come with the, different rules and completely forget what was said. So
Yeah.
that is my concern. And
Yeah. So let me see if I can step back and address your first question about grazing within the monument in general. So if you look at the map, I mean, really all that SITLA has control over are those little squares, right? And that's where we'll have those protections written into the federal legislation talking about that. But all of the rest of that purple, that's under federal control now. There's a monument planning process that's going on right now that we've been participating in. We've shared those concerns with the federal government about grazing in the rest of the monument and the importance of that continuing. And if the county's not involved in that process, I'm sure you are. I would encourage you to make those concerns known to the federal government as well. I know PLIPCO has been heavily involved in that process, but yeah, I mean, those are valid concerns. And then remind me the lawsuit. Yeah. So we've been coordinating very carefully with the Attorney General's office throughout this whole process. Both them, so everybody that was in the room here for the work session has been an active participant in everything that we've been doing with this land exchange. They've been helping us draft the agreements, the legislation, to make sure that nothing that we do in the exchange impacts the state's lawsuit, that those can proceed on separate tracks. So I don't know what the timing will be with either of them. I mean, it's hard to predict how legislation will progress, and it's hard to predict how the courts will progress. So I don't know which one will happen first, but I know that the Attorney General's office is at least represented to us, to the governor, to others, that they're comfortable with what we're doing, that it shouldn't impact what they're working on. So, and
I think the idea that the ranchers want to work with settler is a good compliment to you. That means that you treat them well. They much rather work with you than the other entities, and so that shouldn't be something that makes you feel bad. It makes you feel good that that they feel good working with you.
Yeah, well, we absolutely agree. I mean, the livestock ranchers are critical to our management of trust lands. I mean, we make some income from them that helps our beneficiaries, but the stewardship work that they put out on the ground, there are eyes and ears out on the ground. They take care of the resource. I mean, those are critical to us being able to manage that huge swath of land that we have across the state. So they're definitely important partners for us as well.
Thank you.
So if you take the BLM grazing and trade it for Sitla grazing, so I'm talking about the green.
Uh-huh.
Sitla kind of has a mandate to get the highest, best amount of money. Grazing's probably the lowest amount of money that you make on any of your land. What protection does the rancher have that had BLM grazing and it's now Sitla grazing, that
That's a good
Sitla's
question.
not going to sell that land to somebody else, and so the rancher's out of the picture as far as
Yeah.
grazing?
No, that's a good question. So several years ago, our board passed a policy dealing with how we deal with BLM permits that we pick up in land exchanges. And what we found as we've talked to, the ranchers over the years, is that security is really important to them, that they know that they'll be able to keep those permits and be able to continue to renew those and not have to compete for those. And so any of the permits that we pick up from the BLM in a land exchange, so first of all, we honor those for the remainder of their current term. And then we have a 2-term non-compete. And so basically they're able to renew those for 2 additional 15-year terms, so 30 years, without having them go out for competitive bidding. And so that's one way that we've tried to offer some security on those. You do bring up a good concern that, and Sitla still could, if a higher and better use comes along, we could sell that land or preclude grazing. We try to work, with all the parties that we can, but we also have our mandate to our beneficiaries. So
What you're telling me is that there's a safety net of about 30 years there.
yeah, as far as the term of the permit.
Grazer.
And we also, as you know, our fees are higher on Sitla lands than they are on federal lands. We step those up over a series of years, so it's not an immediate shock. So the BLM permits that we get, as long as they're still under the BLM term, they stay at that $1.35 an AUM or whatever it happens to be. But then after that, it gets stepped up over a series of years to try to ease that pain. But
Commissioner Harvey, have you got any questions or comments?
Just a comment. First of all, I'm grateful for the updated information. I know that the public hearings that were provided to the public and throughout the communities were valuable. And from what I can see, you've been very responsive to those comments, and we value that. And I think we're very grateful for that. And the fact that most of your lands that you're exchanging, most of it will stay in the county. I know that the community, the public's grateful for that. And so thank you. And thank you for taking into consideration the concerns of the grazing permit holders in the county. I'll leave my statements at that, Commissioner.
I have another question. Okay, once those, I know the return on the money will be better someplace else, but so from the standpoint of the children in the schools, once those land leave, the income comes more because of the investment you do and things like that. And and I know I haven't seen some of your information. I can see that the amount of money that you guys bring is a lot more than used to be a long time ago and things like that. And it's anyway, and that is my concern. We have the largest school district in land, and we have the smallest resource to help the schools. And I know that any money that goes away from them, it affects them, affects the children, what they get. And so I just want to clarify that once that those sections leave, that doesn't mean the money leaves.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And I know that the change that you made about leaving more money in San Juan County, because we have a thin slice of the pie when as far as land that we can do things, and everybody's coming, for more and more and more, and we're supposed to take care of a vast county with programs and with a big school in acreage. The buses had to ride, and we had to have roads that we had to maintain so those buses go. And so it is kind of an expensive way for our schools. And I just want to, as we develop these plans, that we think about the future of those schools and the children. And so that's I want to.
To clarify and just emphasize that losing acreage of trust lands in the county does not mean that you lose money that's distributed to the schools from the school trust fund. I mean, that's based on a formula that, it should only help the county really, because if we're able to take this land and put it to work someplace else and make more income off of it, it grows that fund, and that fund gets distributed out according to a formula to everybody in the state. So it's not based on how many acres of school trust lands are located in the county. When we have counties like Salt Lake County, for instance, they don't really have any school trust lands, but they still get their equal share of distributions from the permanent school fund. So yeah, there shouldn't be any concern there.
Thank you for the information.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Okay. Do you want to let Brian talk, or is he just,
You all know how great Brian is.
Brian?
Yeah.
Brian's here for eye candy.
Brian's the eye candy.
He's the eye candy. Yep.
Never been told that.
Not even by your wife. Huh?
Hey,
Your wife's got to
before you leave,
Thank you.
I want to thank Michelle and Chris and Sitla for really listening to mostly my complaints and my outrage about all of this over the last 6 or 8 months. But I appreciate you working with us and appreciate you working with other citizens in the county and listening to the concerns of the ranchers and all of the people. It's been a good process where the public's been involved and you've let them talk to you and answered a lot of questions that I had as a commissioner, and I really appreciate you listening and coming down several times. Now your favorite county is San Juan, and
At least for today.
and thank you for
Thank
everything.
you.
Appreciate all of you,
Thank you.
and
Thank
thanks
you.
for bringing the eye candy today.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay. So we are on MAC number 6, 2023
6.
Energy Efficient Grant Program.
Okay. This here was announced by UAC. I don't know if all y'all were on the call or if it was just me. This grant program, it may not apply to us, but then there was some confusion. Well, maybe it's good just to throw in an application in case there is additional funding. But the grant program is initially, if there's leftover funding, we could be awarded funds to where we can establish this grant program of $5,000 per project. So typically it's a homeowner that would apply for this. I equate it to weatherization, where you can replace windows and kind of that energy efficiency. This is more targeted to the building envelope improvements, insulating, foam insulation, things like that, those type of projects. And so I put together this application just in case. I just wanted to let you guys know that we would submit it. Right now it's kind of targeted for specific counties. The pre-award sheets for 35,000 people or greater. Obviously we don't have a population of that in our cities or counties. with 10 to 20,000 plus people, but there's what it mentioned $500 billion sitting there, 550 million. And so if not everybody comes to it, they may open that window up to some of our lower populated areas. And so I just wanted to make you aware that we do have the application filled out. We'll push it through UAC and see if anything that comes of it. It may not. It's more work for the county. Obviously, the premise behind this grant is the county would receive the funds. The citizens would then come to the county to obtain those funds, and we would have to be checking off on projects similar to weatherization, but at least know that that's out there.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mac. And number 7, the performance audit.
Okay, this one here, let me get to it really fast. We wanted to put this in mainly to be transparent in our entire process. It's been interesting when I first came to work for the county, I soon recognized that we were receiving resolutions and ordinances that were drafted by outside entities. And so I quickly discovered who was drafting ordinances and resolutions and sent them to the attorneys. So all these years we've been watching this action take place, and because of the actions that were taking place and the people that were drafting these resolutions, ordinances, amendments, kind of pushing us to get out of lawsuits that we were in. I would communicate that information to the attorneys. The attorneys, we would communicate it to the state, the AG's office, Lieutenant Governor's office, Attorney General's office, everybody that we could talk to, saying, hey, there's some issues and there's some concerns here, and especially when it speaks to transparency in government. Transparency in government and efficiencies in government has kind of always been my mantra, is to find the efficiencies, improve our government processes, but by all means be transparent in that process and be open with all of our actions. And kind of behind the scenes, that wasn't taking place. And so we tried to scream at the highest rooftops, and to no avail. And then we get this audit report, and it was kind of frustrating in a sense where, the findings come out and we open it up to the public to read, that throughout this, it kind of pushes back to the county. Well, county, you need to have better ordinances, taking laws that are passed at a legislative level in Utah code, taking it one step further for them to be applicable. And I agree, certainly disagree with that. At no point in time during those years that we've been screaming at the rooftop did anyone ever state, hey, county, pass a better ordinance and this will stop. Because I really don't think it would. But that's kind of my take on here. I did want to open it up. As we received the results of the audit, we were told to keep this confidential, close to our chests as commissioners and staff, and so we did that. And then it was released to the subcommittee, the Legislative Auditor General's subcommittee, which we went up and reported, and it was the time when it became public. There were some news stories that were presented on it as well, but we really never have received an opportunity to present it to the public and kind of provide our explanation. And so I felt that it's appropriate in the audit itself, and it's all stuck together in one PDF online. But if you look through and you scroll to the end, there is the county's response to this audit, where we can certainly respect the audit's findings, and we'll take a look at our ordinances and pass the appropriate ordinances respective of the audit. But we also ask them to take it a little bit further. Don't just stop here. Don't just turn around and push it back to the county to pass ordinances to better state law. That's not how our system works in government. And so I just at least wanted to preface that. That's why it's on here today. I don't know if commissioners, if you guys want to take some time and respond to it. We were pretty, each commissioner during the subcommittee meeting spoke to this, which I'm sure is recorded out there somewhere. but I didn't know if you wanted to. It's not, I'm not trying to put pressure on you that you have to speak to this. I mean, obviously our letter is in there, our letter of opinion, in response to this audit, but kind of to be open and transparent with the public, I didn't want to leave it hanging just at the state level.
I think for me it was, I felt relief this in the open, because when I knew what things were going on and people were asked what's happening with this, that's one question that when people, some of the store, what's going to happen with this, and I could not talk, and I knew which way they were leaning. I had to confess I got little sleep, because I would give speeches every night to people to trying to get the attention and say, because one of the comments they made there, well, it's over, it's been resolved through election, and my feeling is it's not over. I mean, they only had one piece of the puzzle. We had so many ways that we are being attacked, but outside influence, and it wasn't a matter of them not liking an attorney. They already had an attorney from they minus whatever, and so, and I thought that I want them to know how this affected people, the morale of the workers. I've been here in a meeting where I want to go home and cry, because the people were asking to be stopped, and I think that the people here at the county suffer that, and I think the people in the communities, they suffer, and I just want them so not to dismiss it, because I was afraid they're going to dismiss it and send it home. But when they decide to not dismiss us, it was I just felt like we got the state championship. We needed to be in the fire truck coming home through to town. But anyway, it was one of the hardest things I had to do, to appear before a committee like that, and knowing that our score doesn't look very good, and just to be given more rules that being Commissioner Harvey had to obey when we haven't broken any, and so I'm glad that our team did a good job to go and present, and I just want to bring peace to the county workers, and I know, like I said, they have gone through a lot, and as a community, we lost lots of time. 4 years, nothing basically happened for anybody. It's not just one community benefited, nobody benefited. And we, somewhere, I don't know if it's correct information, we took 11 million and 3 millions went to lawsuits and all this stuff. And so we were losing our way around. So I was glad for the opportunity they're given to us, and even I was glad to the people that did the audit, because they gave us the opportunity to be able to be listened. And so anyway, so that's all I had to say.
Jamie, you have anything you want to say?
Sure. I'd like to begin by saying that the people, our citizens in San Juan County, they deserve to have an efficient and a government that is strong and trustworthy. And moving forward, we have our marching orders to make some important changes, and I know we're in agreement that we're committed to make those changes. And I know that as we move forward, we also want to assure our citizens in San Juan County that they have the trust in us to make sure that the government moving forward is always going to work in their best interest. And I know that is something we all worked together on, is to be working in unity. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for the county to focus on moving forward, acting on the recommendations that were provided, and building the confidence and trust of not only the staff in our county, but all and every citizen in our county. So that's what my statements are. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jamie. One thing I've learned from this audit and from experience on the commission is government is least effective when it's least transparent. And we have had a very untransparent commission over the last 4 years, and it's created a lot of problems within our communities because it's raised a lot of questions when you hear rumors of what's going on behind closed doors or in rooms that the doors aren't open. And so I applaud the legislative auditors for what they were able to find and the recommendations that they were able to make so that we can move forward with a very transparent government, and we can be a commission for the people. And I feel like the commission that we have right now is very effective because we have gained some measure of trust back from the people of San Juan County, and hopefully that will continue to increase over the next few years. I hope that that moving forward in the future, there will be less of a temptation for government officials to conduct business outside of the purview of the citizens of the county, and I thought the audit was very effective and very helpful for us to be able to move forward. Anything else we need to say, Mac?
No, it'll continue on. There's another committee that this has been referred to for
Yeah.
further.
Two committees.
Yeah, 2 committees for further investigation, and so stay tuned. It'll continue in its review.
Do we know the names of those committees?
No.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay,
One was the I can't remember his name.
it's okay.
Mitchell.
They're interim committees of the legislature, though. That'll happen this summer. Okay, we want to move to our business action portion of our meeting. So consideration and approval of an agreement with Utah Communications Authority to move purchase Vesta services in support of San Juan County's decommissioning of the PSAP phone positions to price for 911 services. Anything you want to say about that, Matt?
Yeah, I can address this real fast. For a couple of years now, we had transferred our 911 system to Price, so they're now covering our 911 calls. This is kind of the last piece to it. Motorola also helps with our communications as well as Utah Communication Authority. The laws prevented us to, typically they wanted to see an adjacent or adjoining county participate in that 911. Well, Price is a county over from us, so it's not adjacent to San Juan. And so the law changed this last year during legislative session, allowing for this completion of the change. Through Motorola, there are 2 positions that are available through the 911 center, along with UCA that they pay for. All this does is transfer the position. It's not personnel, it's just the ability to have as well as the funding over to Price to complete that process. So it's more of a just a structural move to get everything over to price as well as the funding.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve this agreement?
I'll make that motion,
Okay,
Commissioner.
motion by Jamie,
And I'll second it.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none. Oh, wait a minute. Jamie, do you have a question?
I do, Commissioner. In regards to the move, how does this change impact 911 accessibility down south? Will it impact?
So it's more of the system itself. All of the 911's been transferred already. So if an individual is calling from down south, if they're dispatched into this 911 center, it's seamless. It's already taken place, kind of through the back system. At any time during the transfer, our 911 system has been operational. I think the only hiccup that we've seen is, and this is throughout the county, is a lot of times we're familiar with the landmarks here, Church Rock. So I just got in an accident by Church Rock, or I've got even Halchita. Well, where's Halchita? Or outside of Halchita. So a lot of the terminology that locals use here, the 911 price isn't going to know. But through technology, they are able to capture that, the calls that are coming in, and kind of work through that. That's probably been the biggest hiccup that I'm aware of down south or throughout the county. But everything else is pretty much seamless from your location of where you're at. We're able to dispatch services through all of the county.
Thank you. I believe the next best course would be I'd like to ask that perhaps, since we're allowing Motorola to assume, maybe bring them down at our work session and allow them some opportunity to educate their system with us, and we could ask questions that might be specific to certain areas.
Okay.
If that would be possible, I think that'd be a wonderful opportunity for us to
So
engage better.
Yeah, Motorola is hard because they're the company for the system itself, but we choose what systems we use. The 911 system had Motorola, or UCA had Motorola. It's kind of the vendor for years. As UCA has kind of transitioned to the P25 system, I know this is going to get really deep here in a second, but the state of Utah adopted and is migrating to a P25 communication system throughout the county, and that's on the 800 megahertz. They have contracted with a different vendor outside of Motorola to kind of be their radio of choice. And so Motorola is super expensive, and their other systems that they're bringing on through the P25 system are a lot more affordable. So a lot of counties are migrating to the other radio carriers because Motorola is so expensive. It seems like a majority of the counties are all shifting gears. And a couple of months ago, we approved a grant for additional radios to the sheriff and through emergency management as well, as we should. And I think I don't know if it's a Kenwood system or it's somebody. So I think that radio system is probably a little bit more favorable, what I would see. And they're going to be coming down here to the county to give their spill. And what I like about this other radio company, I can't remember it off the top of my head. They have the ability. So in San Juan County, we're a VHF system that we have to maintain because of our mountainous terrain and the canyons that we have. We've got to maintain a VHF system as well as an 800 megahertz system. UCA maintains that 800 megahertz system. The radio systems that are kind of new and coming out can both feed off of the VHF system and the 800 megahertz system, but also this newer technology can also integrate with the cell phones. And they like this across the state because you may be a resource officer in a school that doesn't get cell phone service, but through this radio, you can still communicate out through VHF system. But if you do have cell phone service and no VHF, then you can switch it over to that cell phone service. And so it kind of goes back using the wireless capability. Motorola isn't there yet on that technology. And so we're kind of, everybody's going away from Motorola in that sense where there's better technology out there. And so if you're looking for better communications and have them come down and report on the better, I would choose this other radio vendor that's already working their way through the state to pitch their radios that they have. But yeah, we could certainly bring you in with that. Motorola was just the components that UCA originally contracted with us back in 2020. We still have that contract, and it's just the transfer of that 2020 contract. So it's 2023 now. That contract still exists. We're just transferring that system over to Price itself. And so I could ask them to come, Motorola to come, but they really wouldn't have much to present other than we're here, we're a radio company, we have radios available, but really I think a lot of places are shifting. UCA is highly recommending this other radio entity to go with, where it's more universal to the needs of our first responders.
Okay. Perhaps if I ask it in this manner, I think as new commissioners, we would like to seek the support of the system itself, how it's managing our 911 calls throughout our county, so we can at least comprehend the architecture that is in place. That would be valuable.
Okay.
Because then we can take the architecture that is existing to our respective communities so that it allows those communities to provide input. And it also allows, I believe, our departments to comprehend the architecture that's there, to allow them input to strengthen, giving them the opportunity to strengthen the existing system.
Yeah, okay.
Because we could be handing off or back and forth an architecture that's 15, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And we are now officially in 2023.
Yeah.
And so we should have an architecture that's complementing our technology needs now.
Absolutely. And I think that presentation would be through public safety. They're kind of the ones that are in charge of the 911 system, and we can definitely bring them down and have a presentation from them about where they're at. I noticed Lehigh has his hand up. He's also on the phone. Lehigh, did you have some additional information to add to that?
Yeah, just the 911 system, doesn't change the architecture of the 911 calls from down south or up north or in Blanding, Monticello. It doesn't change that. It just goes to a different location. Rather than in Monticello, it will go to Price, and then dispatch will dispatch the officers or the EMS to that location, if that makes sense.
I'm native, so I need pictures. And so I can take those pictures and present them to my local leaders.
Yeah, we could definitely do a presentation
Thank you, commissioners.
on that system. And so I think it'd be worthwhile to hear it. And just so you're aware, one of the things that the state has really been pushing for is, instead of these independent 911 systems, they're really pushing and making an effort to cluster 911 services. For us, throughout the years, it was hard for us to even hire dispatchers. And so by clustering up, you have a bigger labor pool in these bigger areas. And so we'll certainly talk to Lehigh and see if we can get public safety to come down and give us a presentation on that whole entire system, how it works.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this agreement. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next on our agenda is consideration and approval of the 2023 Aging Services 4-year optional plan. Tammy.
Good morning. How are all of you? So we'll start with aging and then work through my list. You're going to have me up here for a couple minutes. So this is the first year of our new 4-year plan, and it has been provided to you. It's gone to our Aging Advisory Committee, and they've signed off on it, and now it is ready for commission signature. It's about a 50-page plan. It talks about what we have done the past couple years and what we intend to do the next 4 years.
And you're recommending we approve it, right?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner.
Jamie makes a motion,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or comment?
Does this guarantee my place in the next 30 years?
Mine and yours both.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, next is the consideration of ratification of a contract. Tammy, that's yours as well.
Yes. So this is for the 2023 flood mitigation funding. The state allocated a lump of money statewide for flood mitigation efforts due to our record snowfall this year. And we applied for a sandbagging machine and a drone that can go up and look at our creeks. And they allocated us $20,500, but as Mac stated when we first started, the sandbag machine company
Not
that I
very
reached
popular.
out to, every machine they have is out of stock, and we're looking at months. So when I talked to the state this morning, they will up the allocation that they've given us so that we can get a sandbagger. So it'll probably end up being about $30,000 by the time we're done. So
Okay. I have a motion to ratify this contract that's been entered into.
I'll make a motion to ratify it.
Okay,
I'll second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 11, Tammy, you've got that one too, the hazard mitigation grant for Pat Creek.
yes. So this is, as some of our Pack Creek residents spoke about at the first of the meeting, after the Pack Creek fire in 2021, we had a lot of flooding due to rainstorms and debris flows, and it was 2 years worth of that, and we still haven't gotten any further with the NRCS project, but this project has been identified at the LaSalle Cutoff Road, right as you drop off the hill going into Spanish Valley. There's a natural contour there and a road there that we applied for this funding to do a debris basin that will help take out the energy of the flooding that's coming off of Pat Creek. The total project cost is about $700,000. FEMA's buy-in for that is $584. Our match is the 25%, which would be $194,694.
Do we have that money available?
It can be in kind
Okay,
or cash dollars, so it can be labor, equipment, supplies. So
okay, do we have a motion to approve this
I just have
mitigation?
a question. Can I ask a question before that or after the motion?
Whenever you want, Sylvia, you're the
When-
boss.
When we were looking at the little stream that comes, you can tell the damage is close to the road, and the road is over the cliff pretty soon. If part of this project be to secure, the asphalt is next to the cliff,
Okay,
the
that would
roads
be up
account, yeah.
higher. Yeah. No, this would just be for the debris basin right as you cut across
Okay.
the dirt road. Is that state or county road that's right there?
The shortcut.
No, by the cliff that.
Do you know that
So I took her up
where the road
through
looks
Pat
like?
Creek, and
Okay.
we drove through the low water crossing.
Oh,
out
Desert
at
Solitaire.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that was the county road that we had went, and then
Yeah.
kind of showed her where that the floods have kind of eaten off into the road, and those are part of the NRCS
Yeah.
projects that
And
we've targeted.
It seems
as
like with all this more runoff, it'll be,
Yeah.
super concerning. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those projects that you looked at are identified with the NRCS project.
okay.
And that one is it is, I can tell you, 1,200,000,
Okay.
and the match on that is 301,000. And that is also what the Pat Creek residents were talking about. We would have a match because we have the county road, but they would have a match. And when we met with NRCS, they can't contract with a private entity, so somebody has to be the sponsor, and so the county is the sponsor for that. And it's up to the commission how they want to address that match. Are you going to push the match for those projects to the citizens that live in that community that have the private property that they're going to work on? Or is the county going to carry all of that match for those projects? So that's a decision that I can't make. It has to come from the commission how they're going to handle allocating that match out.
Typically, what NRCS has done with the communities is worked with them where they've done, the counties would foot the bill, and then through property tax assessments, that then those individuals or those local communities, private property owners would pay back the county through that special assessment area is what they typically call them. This one, we've had interest from the water company. There is the potential where they could impose fees through that water company to those users, those private property owners there throughout that community. These are some of the details that we still have to work out. Where it is private property in that area, we can certainly work to loan the funds to them or do something creative to help them with that. There is some participation. I mean, obviously we've already been in that area. We've been keeping track of our costs as these floods have continued to come through this area, and they say burn scars attract rainstorms, and this area last year was hit pretty hard. We've continued to go out there to mitigate the county road, and we've kept track of our costs in there as we bring in fill to try to make sure that the community can reach both sides of the creek. There's costs in here that we've already incurred that kind of go towards that match, but nevertheless, we continue to wait, and this is probably the hardest part, and the hardest part for the community as well is we wait on another government entity who is also short of engineers who are designing these projects for us to even get to a point where we can release these contracts out to bid. We can't do that until we know what they're recommending or what the estimated costs are for us to even put a package together with the community or the water company to know, hey, here's how much these items are exactly going to cost. And so there's still some further work that we have to do. There's some concern, with the community that, maybe San Juan County's not in the best interest to have these projects. Maybe it's another outside entity that can help oversee this if we're not the best. Because, obviously we have our procurement rules and our processes that we would have to go through, which will take some time. We have been, Tammy has been really great. She's worked with the community. They email NRCS on a monthly basis asking, hey, where are we at? The community is doing the same thing. Hey, where are we at? We really need these projects. Yeah, here we wait. And I know it's frustrating on on all levels to try to get these projects to come to fruition, knowing that we're waiting. There was a shortage of engineers on their staff, and so they kind of got hit as well as if you reflect back to last year and all the flooding damage that took place throughout the state. These guys are the ones that are in charge of, engineering the projects to address these flooding issues throughout the state. And so it's just unfortunate that the timing was not right for us with the fire and the flooding. But we continue to worry. We stand ready. Tammy and her staff, Dave, and TJ and our road department, any storm that is available that comes up, we're out there assessing. Jerry McNeely. Remember Jerry with our contract? We send Jerry out there all the time. We go up and check Pat Creek. We go up and check the bridge. We go up and see what water damage is existing there, because we're concerned with the projects, the not coming to fruition, but with the flooding that continues through that area.
Watching the news, it's amazing what a little creek, the kind of damage they can do. And when we saw the road, that road can disappear very quick if it comes and start eating up the soil, because it's just it's just road and cliff.
Yeah.
And so, but I appreciate all your work you're doing, and all the information we get it from you, and be fun to have the drone.
It
That
will.
we can use to take pictures of San Juan County.
I think so. I think we could.
But this project is a little bit lower in the bay. It's not up in the Pack Creek area. This would be located down to what we call the cutoff road.
The cutoff road. Right as you drop off the hill going into Moab,
Okay.
there's a road that would take you over to Pack Creek, and it's right on that road. It just follows the natural contour of the creek. During all of the flooding, that road was breached many times by the floods. So it's a good place to put it.
To make a lake.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of water come out of that creek the last 2 years since the fire. So.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the hazardous mitigation grant?
I'll make that motion,
Okay,
Commissioner.
motion by Jamie,
I'll second it.
second by Sylvia. Any further discussion now? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
I think
Is
you're
that,
done.
you have one more?
I think I'm done.
Okay,
I think I'm done for the day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Number 12, consideration and approval of the Health Department COVID-19 grant. You want to take that one?
Sounds good. Good afternoon, commissioners.
Hello.
Good to see you all. So this one here is a no-cost extension of an existing grant. As the title states here, the goal here is to try to understand and address the underlying factors that led to some parts of our county being disproportionately impacted by COVID-19 in the form of severe cases of COVID, as well as sadly deaths. And so this is, I apologize for a couple typos here in the version I uploaded. I didn't catch that in time, but the rest of the sentence here that I was trying to put here, this allows for the strengthening of a community health collaborative team and building on common ground across health-related county, tribal, and state partners serving the San Juan County area. So some examples of this so far have included partnering with the San Juan County Prevention and Action Coalition, SJCPAC, in the community mapping process. Because as we look what we call upstream, speaking of streams, in terms of COVID-19, what are the factors that lead to higher cases as well as more severe cases? It's things that lead to obesity and diabetes. It's actually mental health, a lot of socioeconomic factors as well. And so as we work together like I said here, in this collaborative way, across not just physical health, but also mental health, economic health, these other factors. That's how we propose that we can help address these underlying factors. And in the long run, if another disease or existing diseases come up again, we'll be better able to prevent those severe cases. So relatively simple here, since it's a no cost extension for another year. The other typo here is that it's through to 2024. I have two dates that are the same there. Sorry, that would be interesting if it was only funded for one day. So it's extended, instead of ending this year in May, to 2024 in May. So in the actual contract, they have the correct dates there. Thank you, Mac. Yes.
Do you have a motion to approve this contract amendment number 1?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner.
A motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, Grant, you want to take number
I will.
13?
So these next two, I'll just give an overview of both real quick, since they both relate to disease investigation, infectious disease investigation. Two categories. This first one here you can see is sexually transmitted diseases, and the next one is vaccine preventable diseases. And so for this first one, this enables our team to work with clinical healthcare providers who are providing the testing and a lot of the treatment, but for us to do, as San Juan Public Health, to assist them in doing what it says here, prompt and confidential investigations, doing that in a very respectful way, recognizing people's personal lives need to be kept in confidence. And it also says here, expanding and training our disease intervention specialist workforce. So we have a combination of our public health nurses as well as our epidemiologists who work together to, one, set up good working relationships with those healthcare providers that are doing great work in our county, so that when they see things that are of concern that might be what's called a reportable infectious disease, they can contact us promptly, and we can work together as a team to investigate, okay, who are possible contacts, how do we curb spread, and provide prompt treatment as well, to similar to what we've talked about with COVID, to prevent those severe cases, and ideally prevent cases in the first place. So you can kind of see the process here of contact tracing, linkage to treatment, et cetera. So this is an existing contract, and so this is just extending this through the rest of the year with the that additional $57,250 for the remaining of the year. And those totals represent the multi-year nature of these contracts.
Okay, let's do number 13 first. Consideration and approval of the STD Disease Intervention Service. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Sylvia, second by Jamie. Further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Do you want us to vote on 14 yet?
Hey, I can give a quick overview
Okay.
there. Like I said, overlapping in terms of disease investigation, infectious diseases, but here, just a different category. So here we have prion disease, which is a transmissible neurodegenerative disease, as well as this combination of vaccine preventable diseases. You might see some familiar things here like diphtheria, measles, mumps, meningococcal, et cetera. So some overlapping activities in terms of disease investigation, again, having those good working relationships with our healthcare providers, et cetera, just so we can identify it early, provide connected treatment promptly, and try to curb spread, be it in households, workplaces, et cetera, in the community. So this has a few different categories for us. Cross-cutting, which is meant to be kind of like it says, across, since we sometimes get siloed in very disease-specific things, but this allows us a little flexibility. And then some where it's industry and occupation. How do we work with workplaces, things like that. So this is an odd one since the amendment only increases by $202 here. But one of those things where we do the best with what we have. So as long as we look at these contracts in a comprehensive way and don't get too siloed in individuals, it works out pretty well. So.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Any further comments or
I
discussion?
just wanted to make a comment,
Okay.
Commissioners. First of all, every dollar counts when it comes to public health. So this is important, I know. The other comment is, our county health department has been very hard at work in going out to the respective communities and working with them in regards to health. And I know that we've been approving previous grants increases. I'd like to request, just for our benefit, bringing County Health Department to our work session next month to kind of track their progress and the obligations we've approved with the state, with the federal government, to make sure we're running on track.
Okay,
So if that would be something we can do, it'd be wonderful. Thank you, Commissioners.
okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, and Mac, will you work on the agenda?
So, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about the agenda. I've got 2 entities that have already pulled into the work session for May 18th, which is the likely. That would be a pretty tight one if we bring public health in with it. And
Could
so,
we do it then?
are you okay with
In
June?
June?
I think federal funding expiration is that month.
June, July, yeah.
Uh,
I've got requests from, it's not political, but another state agency that called in yesterday. I've got USU Monument Valley Project coming in on the next work session as well. So then we've got USU with the water conservation programs. And so those 3 would be teed up for the 18th. We could stick public health in there. I just don't think you'd get a lot of time on there. It's USDA. USDA is the one that requested to come in on May 18th. And so we have them already committed.
Yeah.
So
No, there's a-
everybody's wanting to
I know
come and talk with
there's
you
a
guys,
lot of
so
issues I know that
Yeah.
you're all
Yeah.
juggling and
Yep.
helping us face.
I could push any of those out. I just know that USDA has the
Yeah.
programs here for the farmers and ranchers with the winter kill and the crops. That's kind of critical to the public as well, but we could stack them in there.
if we can, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, let's
But-
look at it and
Yeah, I mean, we can't start at 7:00 in the morning.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you bring some hot chocolate, warmer hot chocolate.
Right.
Okay,
I know. Well-balanced diet and adequate amount of sleep is important too. I need to
Well, thank
provide
you.
that reminder.
Thank you for all you do and
All
for
right.
your department
Thank
and
you for all the
other
support.
people.
okay, next on the agenda is Elaine. Spanish Hills Trails Recreation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for this time. This is a request for consideration and approval of a letter of support for the Spanish Hills Trails Recreation Trails Program grant. This is the second grant that we're applying for to get support, and it's the BLM. The BLM, the Grand County Active Trails and Transportation. I'm working with them. Our office, so we're all collaborating on it, trying to get as much grant money as we can to support this project. So we are, the letter of the BLM is really facilitating writing the grant for us, and it looks as though our match will be $30,000, which will come out of next year's budget. So to support the this trails effort.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Sylvia,
I'll second that motion.
second by Jamie. Further discussion or comments?
I just want to ask how the distance of the trails.
There's 3 phases,
Okay.
and the first phase is about 9.75 miles.
They said 10 miles.
Yeah, 10 miles. And then when we finally end up with all 3 phases, which will be completed in probably not till 2026, probably end up being over 30 miles of trails, which for that area will really help the residents of San Juan County
So
that
you'll
are there.
Be tying to the trail in Moab, so be.
Because Moab has the Bar M trails, which are north, which do get heavily used, and there's a lot of congestion at Bar M, and the parking's a challenge. And
So I was just trying to figure out. So you have in one side Moab, and they have something they go through town and connect to ours.
eventually, we hope that this trail is further south. It's probably right before you start to go up the
South
hill
Spanish Valley
south.
more.
But we're hoping that eventually it will be able to connect to the LaSalle Mountain Loop, to the Spanish Valley trail that Moab is putting in. And that will be something that we will have to discuss, because as that trail comes down toward Kens Lake, I don't know exactly where they're going to end it, probably maybe at the Grand County line. Then we'll have to discuss what our options might be for a connector that would then extend that trail to meet up with this trail. So the goal would be, the end result would be that the Spanish Valley residents that would be, or whoever uses this trail, could ride all the way from there all the way into Moab.
Okay, and then you're also going south. You have a trail by Bluff. As you're working a trail that area.
We're hoping. I did talk to Grand County Active Trails and Transportation, and they are interested in collaborating on a trail from Moab to Monticello, and then the goal would be Monticello to Monument Valley. But
that would be nice to be able to.
Yes, connect us on this side of the state, and really, I think feeds into what the governor's looking for, connecting.
Well, especially they have 80 million this year and 40 million in coming years. So if you have blank spot, then you can write grant for the blank spot in the county. So,
Right.
I'm just excited about. I can get my little tricycle and go.
Hey, I have a tricycle. I have a 3-wheeler I ride.
I have a 3.
And it has a basket.
I have one too. Maybe we should have a race.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Now, we do have a active trail network already for the county that's kind of in combination with the ATVs and the outdoor recreation, that we also have to keep in the back of our heads, that we still have to maintain some of those as well. And so, yeah, it's a lot.
Where I'm working with a couple of individuals within San Juan County, because we really have to look to create a trails committee, an official trails committee, volunteer, similar to what a Trail Mix what Grand County has with Trail Mix. So there are 2 individuals that have mentioned that there's interest that would enable us, but it's really, we have to, I think, discuss it more on how we would approach that.
'Cause some of the trails already have committees. I know that the Jeep Jamboree volunteer group, they come down and they do some active trail work. The that trail that we approved last year up on top here also had that that outfitter, that group that was responsible for maintaining and working on that trail. So there are some
Does Spare still
committees.
exist?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do. I think this, the official trail, what I'm thinking of is an official committee where we've got one committee, people that are appointed to that committee, then
We do for the cemeteries and
Ex-
things like
yeah, and really make it official so that we, even if we've got all these different groups, we have basically, say, a group that maybe works on the UTV trails, and that could be one entity, but then we have mountain bike trails and hiking trails, and the more we can put into that, I think we'll also attract people to come down. I know Grand County Active Trails and Transportation, one of the individuals I spoke to went and attended their meeting up in Grand County to learn more about so we're starting the discussion, and I think I just have to figure out how we're going to bring that committee together. But it will really benefit San Juan County. The more trails, it'll be a benefit for the residents, and then also for people that are coming here. It'll give them an opportunity to really get outside and ride more of our trails and see more of our area.
yes. And then we can start promoting them in flyers.
Okay. Do we need Mitch to write up a trail committee agreement or anything? Okay.
That,
All right.
that would be awesome.
I've lost track. Did we already ask you for a,
Let's do a motion.
all right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye also. So that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Elaine, continue.
Yes, the next is consideration and approval of the Hanksville billboard easement. And we've got the lease agreement solidified, and you all approved that. However, now we have to have the easement around the billboard. It's a lonely billboard. It's out there all by itself. We have to have the easement approved, and once you approve that with this document, then I can send the easement and the lease to the owner of the property, and hopefully we're done. I have never worked on a project so long.
It probably a very important. The little sign is feeling very important.
I'm going to have to go plant flowers around the bottom of that sign.
We need a deputy to go out there and protect our sign.
We have him.
Exactly.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the easement agreement?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. One more, Elaine.
The last request I have is approval of the San Juan County Fairground RV spaces that will be utilized by the junior livestock participants and the county fair participants. This in no way will compete with the commercial RV spaces we have here in San Juan County. So the goal is I secured grant funding to put toward these RV spaces, and we will match that amount. It was $73,000 that was allocated. So we have to get started on creating these spaces so that we don't lose the funding. But when I went to the fair last year, and saw all the trailers sort of haphazardly just parked everywhere, I felt that we needed to have it a little more organized so people could be near their livestock and their families and everyone. So what Jones and DeMille designed was this layout for all of these RV spaces. And I think it just makes it safer, and it just makes it so much more organized for the participants that are going to the fair.
How will people know where these spaces are? Is there going to be something, I don't know, will they be able to identify where the spaces are easily?
Mm-hmm.
Will they have hookups to them?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We probably
Yeah,
can
you
put
see
some
the hose
picnic
bin.
tables.
There'll be lighting and electrical, sewer. it's really to,
in here.
and I think our investment in, I went to the EDA almost 2 years ago to apply for an event center. And of course, we only owned the property, but we never showed really an investment. And I did have a conversation with them. So everything that we do to upgrade that area is going to show that we're really working toward improving that area. And hopefully, when I do reapply again, they'll take that into consideration, that we own the property, that we're investing in the RV spots, and I think in the way it's designed, it gives us an opportunity for further future development in that other property beyond it. And I think Mac could probably elaborate more than I can on that.
Mhm. Are they way removed from what they used to be before, or they're still in the same area?
No, they're still in the same area. It's
Okay.
just that you had RVs
I
and
just asking all those
trailers.
questions because I get to know how to answer when people ask.
Right.
So basically, this is just more organized. More, it's not like it's not going to be no parking thing here. This is what we had before, more organized,
Right.
have more service like electricity, and I think someday maybe when we have money, it'd be nice to have individual picnic tables there and little area where they can.
And we may be
Yeah,
able
you
to
could-
apply for grant funding in a future year
where they
for
can have
that.
a little barbecue, permanent barbecue. They can cook, and it'd be
I think it was when I went, everything was sort of haphazard with
well. there are people
RVs
just
all
having
over,
parking-
and
yeah.
right where this puts, we have 18 spots or 19 spots
It's
there.
like 22 to me.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
There's
22.
Adam was over there counting.
Yeah.
You could see him.
And it doesn't impact the volleyball area. So we looked at it, and they worked out the layout. So it's close enough proximity to where the livestock would be, and the families will be able to access it. So, and it won't be, utilized. We aren't renting them, but they'll be able to utilize them during
you
the.
Visual people just pulling in and parking there. It doesn't have to be reserved or anything. It would just
I think we'll
connect
have to
us
coordinate with.
the fairground.
Yeah.
We'll have the county attorney's office referee who gets to park where.
They can, you can take your camp trailer and just park there. I was just asking those questions because in case they're gone, but it would be really nice.
Yeah, and I don't think it takes away from the current use of that area. I think it
Traditional
enhances
way of
it,
doing it.
and hopefully one day in the future we'll be able to have a real event. San Juan County needs it desperately, an event center, an indoor
would there
covered
be-
fairground.
You were working on some lights one time. Are those were the lights
These
you
are
were
the
working
lights.
on? So
Yep.
it has a light.
Yep.
Yeah, right now the parking is kind of fed off of the lights over here. These will actually add down lights. These are all kind of the energy efficient down lights that will light that area, especially
They're
where
dark sky
the-
friendly.
the
Right,
parking, yeah,
exactly.
dark sky friendly. Well, everything
I heard
code
that term
nowadays
somewhere.
is dark sky friendly. Yeah, but they are that. But also on here, I asked.
Marina lights.
Yeah, I know that would definitely make the neighbors happy with us. But the on all of the poles, I've added the electrical outlets. That's one of the things that Johnson DeMille incorporated on here, so that in the future, if you had a venue that if you wanted to put a vendor item out there, then they have power available at the light pole level, and so kind of gives us a little bit more opportunities in the future. We're just hoping that the road department utilizes this ground a lot right now, and so once it's installed, we hope that they don't forget that there's lights there.
So
We're gonna lock the gate then. Not let you in that area.
That's what I told him. I was like, we're gonna gate the whole area, and I was like, this is gonna be Bruce Adam Lane.
I think we also have to think about in the next year what we want to what we want to do to enhance this area, because every year I can apply for grant funding from.
We have a plan, so
Yes, so every year, and
we
that's
can be
something we
looking
need
for
to
different
meet
we
about,
like to
and
have a pavilion, little pavilion.
and that is something that, based on whatever the outdoor recreation grant will allow. But I think if we look at what we have right now and then determine we need this, this, and this, and come up with, say, a 5-year plan of what that would look like, then we can I can move forward to apply for those grants. So
Maybe we need to have a food truck village.
Yeah.
I know we really do.
It'd be
We
nice
need
to have it
we
there.
need one on the
Right on the
corner
corner.
down here.
You know, I've talked about that.
Exactly.
before. Yep.
I've called them, but they've not. I think they've avoided my calls. The company that owns that property. So the 73,000 again will come out of the budget. So all of these grants, the funding will come out of the budget, and then we'll set aside those matches first, and then work on the budget.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the design for the RV spots at the fairgrounds?
I'll motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or comments? All seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
And I'm going to apply for a grant to fix whatever TJ backs into or hits.
Backup grant at all times.
Seriously.
We need some safety training with the road department.
I'm not going there, but thank you.
Thanks, Elena.
Okay, TJ, you're up.
As long as we don't have to move any snow, we will not need the fairgrounds. So that's my 2 cents on that. This,
Snow down to the fairgrounds?
yeah, we cleaned out the public safety building, all of the snow for the jail, everything went down there. So
I'll start hauling it down to Gary Hall's pond.
it's full.
Further to the north, huh?
It's already full.
Oh yeah.
Holy
maybe
cow.
Just to sell ice cones.
Yes,
We
exactly.
can make lots of money when I sell ice.
All right, Todd.
If you want to do a kite thing, we can do it right now. Wind's blowing just a little bit.
There you go.
This is the Schedule A Cooperative Forest Service Agreement. So what this is every 5 years, we do a new agreement that lists the roads that are on Forest Service that the county maintains. This agreement is a master agreement that has all the roads that we do on it. So it doesn't allow us to do any work. Every year we meet, we'll identify the roads that we need to work on that get funding from the Forest Service. We'll bring that back again, and it will be underneath this agreement. But to work on roads, it has to be in this master agreement. So this agreement doesn't give the Forest Service or the county anything to go actually do the work. It allows us to put them on our yearly agreement, and then we can do the work. So you'll only see this agreement every 5 years, but you'll see an annual agreement every year on the identified roads from this agreement that we will do. So that's what this is just a master agreement saying that we're good with those roads and that we can make agreements inside of this.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Motion by Sylvia, second by Jamie.
Yep.
Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next,
The next one is a purchase of a cat backhoe. Kind of in the history of the road department, it seems like we've let our equipment get pretty old. And so when we start having to put a lot of money into maintenance, I think we need to upgrade our stuff when they still have a value. And so that's what this is. This is to upgrade, and then we will surplus the backhoe that it replaces. And so
It's not a lease.
this is not a lease. There's a guaranteed buyback on it. And so we buy it for $140,240. In 2 years, we can sell it back to them for 110, or in 3 years for 102, or we can just keep it. And so it's not a lease, but it's a guaranteed buyback. But this backhoe has a thumb on it, on the hoe. We've had a lot of issues with, excuse me, rock slides. It's harder to pick up the rocks when we're trying to move them. We've had a lot of rock slides slowed with the thumb. It helps us a little bit. And so that's what we're asking for and it's in my budget. And then we'll surplus the other one, which will minus some of the cost, overall cost of this. It's anticipated that we should get between 40 and 50,000 for the used backhoe.
That's a good deal for a new one.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
A second?
second by Sylvia. Further discussion or questions?
I need some dirt on my Hogan. Maybe this will help me out.
We'll have a surplus backhoe for sale, and you have every right to bid on it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thanks. You slowing down a little bit? You still tired of pushing snow?
We're fixing ruts and
Yeah.
starting project
I
season.
bet you are.
I have, maybe later I'll contact you. I have people requesting things for different roads around the chapter places. And I keep thinking it'd be nice to have a little map when they write to me, like I have one that came last night. Yeah, I can say, yep, that's a county road. Nope, that's not a county road. I don't know if it's such a thing like that.
Every chapter has one,
Okay. But,
but we have one down at the road department. We can get you.
think- but I have one letter here that I brought with me. And so, are you leaving now?
I've got a meeting at 1.
Okay, I'll contact you so you
Okay.
can answer this, if this road
Okay.
is, part of it. They want, chips. I figure chips are little pebbles, little rocks. They were talking about. They
If
want
it's a
grade-
paved road on the reservation, we do not maintain it.
No, it sounds like it's not, it sounds like it's a dirt road.
So they just want gravel.
Yeah, well, I had a conversation on the phone, a conversation on the letter, so I don't know what
Okay.
was here, but I told her put it in writing because that way I can ask specific about the road. So-
When I get done with this, I'll come back up before you leave and we can meet.
Okay, I'll be here
Till
till the cows come home.
Okay. As soon as I'm done with it, I'll come back up and we can meet.
Yeah, do.
So I don't know what time the cows come home, but I'll be here. Thank
Whenever
you.
there's hay put out.
If we buy a county horse herd for the commission, will you keep them down the fairgrounds for us?
We do.
So me and Jamie and Sylvia can ride horses once in a while?
The horses that get put down there, the cowboys round up.
They
I don't
sell
know if
them,
you
huh?
can ride.
Okay. All right, thanks. Jed?
In 2 years, I'll let you know.
Can you buy the equipment that he's selling?
So this here Mac would be able to explain a little better even than I can, but it's basically we got all the agreement in place to buy the loader. We bought the loader. It's here. We've been using it for 4 months, but the lease company requires a resolution from the commissioners that shows that you did agree to all this. And I think that's basically what it is.
Originally, we approached the commission just with a purchase order, so we had this in the landfill budget. We used the purchase order where Wheeler is on state contract. So you notice on the backhoe that TJ just presented, there's not the requirement on the buyback for the backhoes to enter into this agreement, but with the loaders there is, and so it's like a different equipment, different mechanism, and so because of that, I'm like, I didn't want to just sign it, even though you authorized the purchase order. I didn't feel comfortable assigning that type of a form of document. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring it back to the commission meeting. So I put everybody on hold, kind of made them mad. We've already paid the first payment for the year, but I'm like, you know, I'd rather be transparent and not sign something that
Well,
you guys didn't agree to.
Kind of makes
so.
it better for everybody, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep, that's
So-
what I think so.
Well, it's the difference is we're leasing to purchase at the end. A lot of TJs are leases to
buy
sell
back.
back with the buyback.
Yeah.
The primary difference why we can't do that versus he can is he had some initial money in his capital expenditures allows him to make the complete purchase. I didn't have enough to make the complete purchase, but I had a need for the equipment.
Yep.
And so we went the lease purchase option, which allows the payments to be primarily the same for the first 5 to 6 years. And then the last payment is a balloon payment that is an additional 30 or 40,000. But then we own it. We don't, and I guess in a way it does have a buyback option because before you make the last balloon payment, you are entitled to turn it back in, but you get zero if you just turn it in at that
That'd be
point.
silly.
It would be silly to turn it in at that point. Yes.
I have a question probably. For instance, we have the back, TJ has a back,
The buyback?
that he's, a back, an equipment that he's gonna pour surplus. Can other departments buy those? Like,
Oh yeah, they're always entitled to buy them if they have any money.
well, that's what we have.
In fact,
so
I just
so
learned
we have the
yesterday.
first- that if it's somebody like you, probably needs something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You
See, I just learned yesterday that the college, when we were at our grant writing meeting, the college is selling their baler, basically, which is a recycling baler, which would be a great value to the landfill, but I don't know how much it is yet or anything to go pursue it or look at that. But that would be something because it's on state surplus that we would be entitled to go get.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to have the funds first too, and
Yeah.
that's pretty
I
tight.
understand that.
We do utilize the equipment across departments. Some of them operational wise, they use the loader all the time. And so we wouldn't be able to borrow a loader from the road department where they're using gravel pits, loaders all the time as well. But with the backhoe, like in LaSalle, we use the road department's backhoe.
Yeah, that would be a good example. Is we actually parked the road department's backhoe in the landfill property during the wintertime so that when my drivers go over on Monday, if there's snowpack, we can just take the backhoe and start it and clear the snow out.
So there are some opportunities like that, but
To
for
help each other,
operation
yeah.
wise, it's pretty hard to balance a loader, and
Yeah.
we've gotten into a bad habit in the past. Well, and a lot of it not necessarily a bad habit; it's just what we can afford. At the time was we would go in and we would run the equipment to death, and it would break down, and we would go out and buy old used equipment and run it to death, and so
It's the story of the poor.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Well,
Our
some
last
of the
purchase,
equipment we
yeah.
purchased wasn't probably worth buying in the first
No,
place.
It was 2019. So in
Yeah.
2019, we purchased these two loaders, one for operational, the other one for parts. And here we are, 2023,
And
and
two parts.
two loaders that
Yeah,
no parts.
you said it correctly. I've got two parts.
yeah, and
They're
so,
not functioning too well.
So we've got to get to a betterment where we can operate. The state has requirements for us that we've got to have cell closure. If we have poor equipment and we can't do the job, we're not meeting the requirements
Well,
for a
especially
DEQ.
when you have a department that is
critical.
self-sufficient, you know,
Yep.
and you need to support so they can keep generating more fund. Somebody
Yes.
was telling me, I wish I can remember, they were telling me the Hill Air Force has, from time to time, they have surplus of material.
Almost every government entity has surplus. I mean, that's a pretty common.
And so I don't know if it.
There's actually websites you can go to that list surplus
go
from all
and
over the
see.
country.
Okay. Anyway, so somebody was telling me that, so I thought I'll just pass that on. But
Yeah. We actually have a loader we need to get to surplus. We haven't yet because we're waiting on a power washer to show up so that we can actually clean it up in the hopes of getting a better price. And even then, it's going to probably be kind of iffy because the condition of the loader really isn't premium anymore.
let's cover the microphone so people can't hear it. in case they try
Sometimes
to buy it.
sometimes surplus means worn out.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true in lots of cases. One of the things like what TJ is talking about with his loaders and stuff on the buyback, if one of them came available that was beneficial to us, it would be a benefit to us to match Cat's buyback because Cat's going to buy it back and they're going to resell it for $20,000 or $30,000 more.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I was trying to say. If we kind of be the first one to know.
But yeah,
something's
if
going
there
on
was a
for
piece of
sale.
equipment we were moving in the county that would be beneficial to us,
Yeah.
I would agree. It'd be worth
Yeah.
trying to do that.
Yeah.
You're in charge, Sylvia.
Oh, okay.
You are now the chair.
Gonna make
So we
just
call
the two
for a
of us.
motion.
Can I call?
You can call for a motion. Yes.
Okay, I call for motion approval. You gonna second it? Do I have to say the whole time?
I
Or
can make the
discussion?
motion. I
Okay,
can
you make the motion.
Motion
Hurry.
to approve.
Motion to approve. Okay, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes.
Yeah.
Also, hey, appreciate that. Thanks for the explanation on that.
So
one.
we go to the next
Well,
one.
when I figure out how to get onto the computer, but down there we don't have any microphones or cameras in our computers. So I can't
what's
really
his
attend the
name,
meeting
Ryan?
from my computer.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see you. Were you able? Just a side note. Were you able to get the dumpsters in Aneth, Mexican Red Mesa? Okay. 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 Perfect.
awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I appreciate your help. A week. I think that cleanup's a week, right, Jimmy?
So
That's
we,
week. Yep.
Yeah.
So we move to 21.
We are on item 21, which is consideration and
So
approval
Matt has that one.
of amendment number 2 to the Navajo Revitalization Fund, Navajo Mountain Spring. Okay. Perfect.
Was Flannery here for that? He left. Oh,
What? I'm sorry.
Flannery was here and he left. This is one
So
of the
Scoot,
engineer-
he's on all of our projects, it seems
Yeah,
like.
So I don't think he was for that. But anyway.
Yeah,
So.
this one, both of you belong to the NRF, and you received those project updates. This is one of them that's continued. Back in 2016 is when Navajo Mountain had that fire, and we had this project to create the Beaver Spring. It was the original drinking source there, and it was the main spring, but with the contamination of the fire, they designated it as a secondary water source for the livestock. And so Jones and DeMille have been working. They were awarded the contract for the engineering and coordination for the project. And so they continue to coordinate with the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation Department of Fish and Wildlife, they're currently reviewing, as this is back in 2016. So here it is, 2023. I would question whether or not even the water is contaminated anymore. It may be able to be an actual drinking source, but nevertheless, we have the funds there. There are still,
Well, this is like a taxi.
yeah.
The clock
Just
is
keeps
ticking.
on
Look
going,
How much
yes.
money.
So we
Over
have,
$200,000.
so yeah, you have $372,094.36 remaining in this project. We continue to work with the Navajo Nation for the clearances, and now that water's been spilling out, there's habitat. Obviously, water spilling on the ground, you're going to have habitat that pops up, and so they're evaluating the habitat and that overflow. But ultimately, we want to get to the point where we have that as an active secondary water source with the appropriate tanks. You kind of see these pictures from the original, but once we can get everything finalized, then this will go, but we do need to just amend the agreement so that we can continue with the project.
Yep.
One day it'll come to fruition.
Hopefully
By then
we-
it'll be clean water.
Hopefully it won't be, it comes when we are to zero because the meter is running.
I worry about that. We continue to receive, typically it's around $15,000 in engineering fees, just as Jones and DeMille continue to push the Navajo Nation to get us these clearances. I mean, they're working it all the time, and so we've got to pay engineering fees. I just worry at the end of the day, we build up this huge project of engineering fees with a little water tank, and so.
And the only water they have there connected is just around the school and things like that?
Yeah, so they still do have
Maybe can
the
you check 'em out
inscription
for a little
house.
Go ahead.
Inscription house feeds Navajo Mountain. My understanding is that's the case, and so that's why this went to the secondary water. But
Mhm.
literally, I think somebody would take a look at it. All of these years have gone by. It's probably a clean drinking water source now.
Which one you on?
We're just looking for a motion on the Navajo.
Oh, number 21.
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
The
do we have a
amendment.
motion?
A motion.
Motion by Jamie,
A second?
second by Sylvia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, the next one is consideration and approval of the fiscal year 2022 engagement letter for Larson and Company PC for the annual audit. This entity has been our auditors far back as I can tell, 2011. They continue to do our audit. This is the engagement letter that comes from the executive branch as well as management. And so I need the commission approval. We'll get Bruce's signature on it and then my signature, and then they are officially off and running, although they have been here throughout the last week auditing
Have a
us.
motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
I second?
second by Sylvia. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number
Okay.
23.
This one here is the consideration and approval of a standard service provider contract with Horrocks Engineering Inc. for consulting services for broadband planning. Last commission meeting, I had asked you to table this as we continue to work through the scope of work, and they originally come back with a $75,000 cost. We've been able to narrow that down to $45,000, as well as leaving us $5,000 for marketing efforts. They are already engaged. Well, the way we were able to reduce this is the state had already contracted with this entity to have local engagement. That local engagement included the chapters. So as they took that local engagement out, we were able to offset those costs that the state was providing, as well as I'll have Elaine's staff and group also work with us. And so they will go out, Horrocks will do the initial work, do the technology side of it, and try to figure out what the needs are, and then develop those options for us. But then Elaine's group, us and Elaine, myself and Elaine, will be out to the chapters, re-educating them on what they found. And so it'll be kind of a hand in hand, but so that's what this contract is
Okay,
for.
motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Sylvia,
Second.
second by Jamie. All in favor say aye.
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 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay. Number 24.
Consideration and approval of the design and budget for the 2023 Cal Black Airport AWAS and Beacon Improvement Project. This one here is a federal funded award. As we presented the awards back in December of 2022, I think both of you were here at that meeting, listening in on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Where the federal government is coming in, the county is going to receive $150,000 of entitlement funds, but then also $150,000 for the infrastructure bill funds, and then all in all, that reduces our amount that we have to match, and there's $16,000. This is split with the state, so $16,000 from the state, $16,000 from the county. The AWAS system, if you're flying a plane and you come close to an airport, you can tune in to this all-weather system, and it'll tell you the windage, weather report, or you can check online and get that information. Our AWAS system it's been running on the Apollo 11 computer system. It's so outdated that
It's like, oh, yeah, it's still floating.
yes, exactly. And so we need to upgrade it, and with these funds we're able to do so,
This
as
is a
well
good
as
deal. If you only had to put 60.
absolutely
16,000.
yes, yep. And so we're appreciative of the federal funds that help support us, but you always have to continue to improve your airports and put money into them. The federal government provides those for us, as well as that small match. In this includes the beacon. The beacon, for years we've worked with a local entity to repair the beacon on top, which is the light that rotates at the airport, and they can no longer fix it, and he can't find a replacement for it. And so this will improve that beacon. That beacon hasn't worked for years. And so we need to get those things fixed. You're supposed to have an active light out there. And so that's what this project is about.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve this design budget?
Make a motion to approve the design budget.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, so this next one is consideration and ratification of the Economic Mobility and Opportunity Cohort Grant Award of $35,000 from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Economic Mobility and Opportunity Program through the International City County Management Association. This project here was the one that we had submitted for the grant award and received that award. I was looking for it really quick. This is to work with our school system as well as the Navajo Nation and the Ute tribe to try to figure out the barriers of entry to government jobs that are here. We're hoping to even work with USU and create a conduit where we can take our youth and prime the communities around us for these government opportunities so that we can keep our students here in a workforce in the future. And we've got to make sure the USU is holding the courses, public administrative courses, or whatever the case is, resource management, biology, those type of courses that BLM, Forest Service, national parks, counties, cities, all have requirements for personnel in. This is to look at that broader system. Okay, what's going on? What if our population here is over 50% Native American? Well, you would think that would be reflective also in all of the government entity jobs across the spectrum, and it's not. And so, well, why? What's going on? And what can we do better as kind of overseers of public funds, to help build our communities, keep our kids here so that they're not an export.
It would be nice to kind of have a type of fair where a job fair, or maybe it's just opportunity fair where we target the middle school, where they can come to campus and have all the organizations they have offices in San Juan County come and kind of get them excited as they enter high school to see which class you need to start registering for this. And I know the Lisbon Valley is coming to do a presentation at a college on the 10th. I've been working with Ellie about doing that, and so just to try to kind of recruit a little bit.
Yep,
They
exactly.
do it for the parents, and I suggest let's do it for the middle school, and so she's gonna invite the middle school and come too.
Yeah. So it's that same thing that you're doing with Lisbon Valley, but with government. And so that's what this grant awards us, to hire a consultant. There are two requirements here, that we attend meetings in person, one in Washington, D.C. on May 2nd to the 5th. And then there's another one that will be coming up for ICMA Brownfield Conference in Detroit. That we'll have to attend to. It's all paid for through the grant, so it doesn't take any county funds. When I was first awarded, they told us it's a requirement that you attend in person to these trainings, and I'm like, okay, well, we don't have the funds. Sorry, no, we don't have the funds to travel like that. This is all through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The travel is covered, as well as the hotel stay, and so we were one of 10. That was awarded this opportunity throughout the nation. So
Good. Do we need to ratify that?
This is a ratification. You did approve me to accept the award. But
Motion to ratify the acceptance of the award.
Motion.
Motion by Jamie.
I second.
Second by Sylvia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, you wanted to make a comment?
Just a comment,
Okay,
Commissioner.
go ahead.
Just a recommendation. I think you would strike interest with Utah Navajo Trust Fund as a match for
Okay.
this, as well as possibly Navajo revitalization, so you can have even more dollars for.
That would take it further. That would be awesome.
That'd take
Okay.
it further, and yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
UNTF and NRF.
The NRF funds, just apply for them. Okay, let me try it and see.
And it'd be nice to do some fairs down south too.
Yep.
Well, and we do have to engage them. That's really, that will be our focus area. And so
Are Bill and Melinda Gates still married?
I don't think they are, but the foundation still is there.
Hopefully,
That's what I thought too.
All right. All in favor of this ratification, say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. It's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 26, Jamie.
Oh, that's my.
Yep.
This was yours. So you had originally asked that I bring back a letter of support for the Navajo Nation request of N35 to transfer N35 to the state of Utah. I felt that instead of a letter of support, it'd probably be stronger with the Navajo Nation and everybody else if it come out as a resolution.
Really cool.
Instead of a letter of support. And so that's what you see
Awesome.
today is that letter of support or this resolution encouraging the state of Utah to recognize the Navajo Nation Road N35 as a transportation priority for San Juan County, and the request from the Navajo Utah Commission seeking the road to be designated as a Utah highway. And so
Awesome. Yeah, this is valuable. I really appreciate this, Mac. Thank you. I know that Red Mesa chapter was the one that initiated the request. The road is running from the bridge from Montezuma Creek, just the bridge behind the post office. Goes across the river, hangs a left, goes through Phillips Camp and down into Red Mesa.
it is a nice road.
It's not maintained, and I think the chapter's been just frustrated, especially from the bridge to Phillips Camp. The nation will only touch from, I think, Red Mesa all the way to outside of Phillips Camp, and then everything else moving south where it is really broken up. If you get a chance, you might want to drive through there to see if your shocks still work. But this would be a huge benefit. So
it's not shocks, but it's the steering wheel that definitely has to work if you're going down through there, because you're definitely going back and forth.
yeah, so this would be of great value to the community south if we could make it happen.
Okay, do you want to make a motion on it?
Yes, I'll make a motion on it.
All right, motion by Jamie,
I'll second.
second by Sylvia. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, now we have a little time for commission reports. Can I do one crazy thing before we do that?
Yeah.
I came across an article the other day about this courthouse building. Can I read a little bit of that to you,
Yeah.
just for history's sake?
Does anything about the pillars?
Well, I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
It says bonding $36,000 for a new San Juan County courthouse was put to a successful vote in February of 1920. After citizens realized that their neighboring county, Grand, was building a large new courthouse. Construction in Monticello began soon thereafter, and the courthouse was nearly ready for occupancy in late 1920, lacking only steam heat, plumbing, including toilets, facilities, jail laboratories, and hot water, and finished cement. And then it sat partially completed for nearly 17 years. Only 4 rooms were available, and those without heat and modern plumbing. 1937, the works progressed Progress Administration approved an $8,000 to complete the courthouse. The court portion was $2,000. They first balked at the difficulty in paying for material, but later obtained the funds by borrowing from the county road fund and paying back the fund through collection of delinquent taxes. The Salt Lake Tribune covered the long journey with one paragraph in February 1938. Completion of the $50,000 San Juan County Courthouse marked the end of 18 years struggle on part of county officials and public spirited citizens. No mention of the WPA. So it's got, and I think this room was originally the courtroom. This is where they held court.
And then the judge's chamber.
Yeah, and the judge's chamber was right next to us here. So anyway, started in 1920, over 100 years ago.
Hey, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
You know, I was born and raised here, and then I went up north, and it probably been over 5, 6, 7 years before I actually came back to Monticello when I interviewed. And one of the first things I noticed was the steps outside. And I think if you live here, you kind of get used to it and it doesn't bother you. But having come back here, it just kind of really stood out, that rust on those stairs. And I think I don't think it would take much to get rid of that rust and get rid of those that iron grate that's on top and replace it with something else that won't rust. I think that would be a big improvement to the courthouse. Just saying.
See, the eyes of a citizen who has returned
Yeah, there you go.
and makes suggestions.
I'm the prodigal son who was
Good,
returned.
good. Anyway, I just saw that article and
Well, that's good. I mean,
wanted to just
Yeah,
share.
that's a neat article.
yeah.
Took them 17 years to complete. Anyway, I think there was later an addition onto the courthouse.
Yeah.
I remember coming down here with a school class, and the jail was in this building. And you go downstairs, and it was, the cells are down, were they downstairs, James? Do you know?
Down at the end, there's a.
Down at the end?
DMB.
I think there
By
was,
DMB.
Well, they say
There's a
there's
drunk
wines
tank
and all
down
kinds
there.
of stuff down there.
Yeah.
I
you
was
don't ever
learning.
go down there, Sylvia.
There's a drunk tank,
With-
drunk tank with where the drain, you have that floor in there. Yeah.
Oh, my
There
God.
probably some ghosts in there.
All right, commission reports. Go ahead, either one of you.
Go ahead, Sylvia.
Oh, well, let's see where I start. This past 2 weeks have been solid. I think probably the highlight was that we invited the 7 County Coalition to come and visit Lisbon Valley and Energy Fuel and visit our county. And I think it was a very successful project. It was kind of a little bit stressful because you just haven't invited so many prominent people, and they all came, and it was very insightful for our visitors to see what we have here in San Juan County, and I decided that as part of my tenure here would be to trying to invite people to come and see, learn our story, and just see what we have here. And consequently, Energy Fuel wants to do a tour to Lisbon Valley now, so we're gonna try to figure out how we can arrange that. And the same thing, you know, as some of the people Lisbon Valley was saying, that it would be nice to come and see what Energy Fuel has, and that was really nice. I had opportunity to attend wastewater community meeting just today, and also be on the Navajo Mountain Zoom meeting for the chapter. And between that, when I was nominated to this committee, I thought that committee would be very easy. Max said it had to do with being homeless. Well, we don't have that many here, so I thought it should be easy. Well, this is the whole state, and we had hundreds and hundreds of applications for a grant that we had to read. I read 24, and each one was average about an hour between reviewing and entering it. So it have been a interesting weekend, but I learned a lot from what communities are doing. I learned programs that are successful are the ones that multiple counties programs for shelters and advocacy for victims, family, also advocacy for families that are on verge of being homeless. And so it was a very exciting for me to get to see how other counties are dealing with that issue. And so anyway, that's all I have.
So I had the opportunity to be part of the conference, to participate in the Building Utah conference down in St. George a couple of weeks ago. And it was valuable because I think, for one thing, I think the county could benefit from not only upgrading IT, but getting IT to work with the GIS that everyone else kind of utilizes now. And I didn't realize that a lot of the counties are technically savvy and using those kinds of tools to do their planning for roads and different infrastructure projects. I did run into a presentation. I think they're AT&T. They kind of like its own network for first responders, and I didn't realize that they came into our area to set up some cell phone towers to improve the cell phone coverage locally. And they even have mobile equipment to where if there's no coverage, they'll come out and set up a satellite and boost cell phone service. But the system is only for first responders, police, and it's good to know that there's that system in place. It sounds like Navajo Nation has utilized that system, because they mentioned working with the tribe on developing that system for the reservation. And so that struck my curiosity in regards to the architecture for our 911 system, and kind of taking a peek at how that architecture looks like. And so that was a valuable experience, I thought. Another meeting we were able to attend, both Commissioner Stubbs and I, was the Navajo Revitalization Fund. That was a first. We were there for the first time. We met with some of the appointed local chapter officers, and we got orientated on the process of the revitalization funds and how they're allocated, and the projects that the chapters would like to have extended and to receive funding for. That's a new experience. And then finally, just final comments for and behalf of the chapters who are engaging in Earth Day this week. I believe Aneth, Red Mesa, Mexican Water. They're the chapters that are going out there, taking time to collect trash along the roads, and they're wanting to beautify the nation, honor Mother Earth, pick up the garbage that tourists and our community members sometimes leave behind carelessly. Thank you so much, commissioners, for approving the delivery of the garbage bins and allowing the community to place trash that needs to be hauled back to the landfill. The only request the chapters are asking for now is if we can centralize the invoices so they can work on making payments. They need the invoices to give to the programs or funding entities that they're working with to cover the cost of the tipping fees. But a big thank you in behalf of all the local leaders back home. That concludes my report, commissioners.
Is that April 22nd, the Earth Day celebration?
I think it's all week.
All week.
All week.
Some
Oh,
of them
okay.
are all week.
Okay.
Various chapters are doing it at different times, but it's this
Okay.
week. Yep.
Okay, I think you both reported on things that have happened recently. I just want to make you aware of an email that I don't know how I missed it, but it was dated Monday, April 3rd. And it was a request from UAC to have a representative on the centrally assessed committee. Representative, did you see that, Matt?
I just seen you forwarded it to me
Yeah.
yesterday.
Okay.
That's the first time I've seen
So
it.
we
That's
need
what I thought
we
too.
need a representative from our commission to serve on that committee. So if one of you wants,
What committee was that, Commissioner?
it's the centrally assessed committee. You know, that we always have trouble with the power lines and the gas lines and the centrally assessed properties. They always appeal their value to the state tax commission, and state tax commission just immediately reduces their value, and so we have to shift the tax load from the centrally assessed to the private property owners. And so UAC has an effort to challenge those appeals, and we need somebody from our county to serve on that committee.
Okay.
If you're last year, they had, or might have been 2 years ago, they state legislators are kind of changing the rules of what can be centrally assessed. So there was a big change in central assessed values or centrally assessed ability at the refineries and some of the equipment there. And we, UAC came out and argued, it's like, no, that's still centrally assessed. You can't take those out. When you get into the conversations, the MABEL, should MABEL be centrally assessed? So the telephone companies get a credit for being telephone companies and providing that infrastructure. Well, now every cable company is a telephone company as well, so that they can get credits. And the state legislature have been kind of whittling away, and centrally assessed for us is one of the taxed revenues that we receive the most of. So the oil refinery companies, these pipelines that come through, those are all assessed a higher value rather than property tax. Well, here in the last couple of years, that's shifted to where centrally assessed is becoming less, but the property taxes are now having to be paid more so by the residents. So this committee, you've got to be pretty strong at this committee because we're trying to push back and say, don't put the brunt of these refineries and they're because they don't want to sell fuel at a high rate, and their assessed value goes down. This is kind of what this committee is going to be looking at and trying to push and champion, to protect our citizens. Because if it continues to shift where residents take more of a bigger burden rather than the centrally assessed, we've got to somehow get a reasonable balance.
And it doesn't have to be a commissioner. It can be somebody else in the county on
So
that
it can-
committee.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if we ought to ask if there's anybody else in the county that wants to represent us on that committee, Mac.
Yeah, we can certainly add any of the other elected officials,
Which you can ask, and if there's no takers, then we can,
any affiliate.
and him can have arm wrestling.
You could always
Whoever
have
wins
Jens
has
do it.
it.
Huh?
You could always have Jens do it. He lives up that way anyway.
Yeah.
Where did they meet at?
I don't know.
Oh, where did he live?
UAC would a designated place
Um,
for him to meet, probably up north would be my
Yeah,
guess.
probably up north.
Should we ask Jens if he'd do it?
We can check with Jens or talk with Lyman. I don't know if Lyman would want, or Rick Meyer, maybe. I mean, the assessor, county assessor.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
okay, just keep us posted in
the
case we want.
Other
Yeah,
thing,
I
I'm
think so.
going to USIP meeting on Thursday for in Salt Lake. Then I'll go to St. George because we have a joint highway committee meeting in St. George Friday. And then I'll come home. So I'm just kind of driving around in a daze. the rest of the week.
And you surprised that you got home, you don't
Yeah.
remember any of the road.
Okay, we got one last motion. Anybody want to make it?
They want to dismiss.
Yep, to adjourn.
Are we having any other meeting after this one?
Well,
Interviews.
We got interviews.
Just an interview, but no closed doors.
Nope. Nope.
Oh, good. I won't have to worry about anything.
For a minute.
Okay, Sylvia
Okay.
makes a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Do we have a second, Jamie?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.